You know, I was thinking the other day, what is it the world needs more of? And it came to me about 4 a.m. Blues rhythm guitar playing. Now, not a lot of people practice their blues rhythm playing because it's always seen as something that's quite uninteresting and uninspiring, and they'd much rather work on their lead playing, which is fair enough. But when it comes time for somebody else to take a solo and you've got to sit back on the rhythm, you can really make it interesting. There's so much you can do, and we're just going to explore a few ideas that will hopefully get you away from playing the standard. That kind of thing. So I'm going to assume you can already do that. I'm also going to assume that you know your bar chords. Your A7, D7, E7, that kind of thing. Full bar chords. So what can we do to make it a little bit more interesting? The first thing you can do, the first thing that just leaps out at me is combining the two things that we already know. So we can combine this and this. So we're going to venture right out and we're going to do this in the key of A. The first idea is we're going to start down on the A, like an A5. So we've got the open A and second fret on the 4th string. And we're just going to walk up and then grab an A chord. So we're walking up from the 2nd fret, up to the 4th fret, up to the 5th fret, and then up to the 7th fret. And then when we get to the 7th, we're playing a chord, which is open A, 7th fret on the D, 6th fret on the G, 5th fret on the B, and if you can get it, the open E. So that idea? And you can even walk it back down. 2, 3, 4. And then when we move up to the 4 chord, we do exactly the same thing. So we're just walking up the 2nd fret, up to the 4th, to the 5th, to the 7th, and then we're grabbing a D chord. And we're playing that D chord, 7th fret on the G, 7th fret on the B, and then 5th fret on the top E. And then when we go to the E chord, this is a little trickier, but it's the same idea. It's exactly the same walk up, 2, 4, 5, 7, and then when we get to the 7, we're grabbing this, an E chord, which is 7th fret on the A string, 6th fret on the D string, and 5th fret on the G string, and that's an E triad. So that's kind of the first idea. You don't necessarily have to play exactly what I'm playing, but it's just the idea that's more important. So we're just kind of combining what we already know. If you wanted to turn those chords that you play from just straight triads to 7th chords, you can do that as well. And instead of playing 7, 6, 5, you're playing 5, 6, 5 on the D, G and B string, and that gives you an A7 chord. If you want to grab the D7 when you get up to the D chord, you can play it like that. That's quite a cool little voicing for a D7, which is just 7th fret on the G string, 7th fret on the B string, and then 8th fret on the top E. You can play it like this, which is 5th fret on the G, 7th fret on the B, and 5th fret on the top E. But I kind of like that voicing there. And then when we get up to the E chord, just doing that little voicing, which should look kind of familiar. 7th fret on the E string, 6th fret on the D string, and 7th fret on the G string. So I'm going to have to think about this. So that whole thing, that whole idea around a 12-bar blues sounds something like this. So 1, 2, 3. 4. Nice, okay. So something else that you can do is we can start sliding chords a little bit, just to give it a bit more of a, just kind of a bit more interest. Again, we're sticking in the key of A, which is crazy and out there. So what we're going to take is just a simple idea of sliding chords up a tone and then back. So a slightly different blues feel. We're going for a bit more of a slow kind of 6/8 kind of blues. So something like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, what we're doing there, this kind of idea, it's almost like almost like an A6 idea, but we've got no major third, which isn't the end of the world, because we're kind of implying it when we do the little slide. So, what we're taking is open A string, then you have the 5th fret on the D string, 4th fret on the G, 5th fret on the B. And then we're sliding those notes up 2 frets. That kind of feel. And then when we get to the D chord, we're playing more of a D9. If you don't know what these names and numbers are, don't worry too much, it's not that important. But to play a D9, we're playing 5th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the D string, and then it's 5th fret, 5th fret, 5th fret. Tricky to say 5th fret, 5th fret, 5th fret. And then we're just taking the top half of that chord and we're just sliding it up and then back. And we do exactly the same for the E chord when we get there on the turnaround. 4 chord, and then A. So let's look at some of those ideas across a blues chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4. So another thing that we're going to look at doing is we're just going to take our bar chords that we already know, those A7 chords, D7 and E7s, and we're going to just look at putting in some other notes. We're going to look at some other things that we can do. So the first thing that we're going to do is look over the A chord, or over the 1 chord, is we're going to look at hammering on from the 5th fret to the 6th fret on the G string. That simple. So we're just playing the A note, and then we're just catching the D and the G, maybe the B as well, and then hammering onto the 6th fret from the 5th fret on the G string. So we're going to do we're going to expand this a little bit, but just to kind of get you used to it. Just try that. Just roll that one chord. So that's what we're going to do on the one chord. Or we can use that for any E shape. Any E shape dominant 7 chord, you can use that idea, hammering onto that minor third to the major third, and that gives it that really bluesy kind of sound. So other things you can do on that one chord is, as we're not really using our pinky here, if you grab the 8th fret on the B string, which is the flat 7, and then you can roll it down from the 7th fret, sorry, the 8th fret down to the 7th fret. So it's just something that you can throw in. So a little rhythm with that. And we're ready to move up to the 4 chord. So it's a little trickier to grab that minor third to major third and have the chord kind of still come through. But something else that you can do, or something that I love to do on the 4 chord and the 5 chord, depending on what shape you use, and it doesn't really matter whether you use this D7 here, the C shape, or you use maybe that D9 shape, or even this A shape for a D7. What we're going to do is we're going to jump up to the next kind of chord voicing. So we're going to do something like this. This is something that I might do. Something like that. So what I'm doing there is I'm just playing this D9 chord, which is kind of a usual favourite for me when I'm going through up to the 4 chord. But it will work equally well whichever chord you use, whichever chord voicing you use, even down here. In fact, that sounds really cool. I like that, actually. I love that slide in. So anyway, so what we're doing is we're then just jumping up. We're just playing the 7th frets on the G string and B string, and then grabbing the 8th fret on the top E string. And when you're here, you can also grab notes in this D7 chord shape here. So what I was doing is grabbing the 10th fret on the B string. And be back down to the 1 chord. So on the turnaround, what we can do is we can start throwing in a few alterations. So you could, when you get to the E7, do exactly what you did on the D7. This kind of idea. Which is totally valid and totally fine, but if you wanted to do something a little different, so we can throw in the Hendrix chord. When we get up to the 5 chord, or when we get to the turnaround, we're going to play E7 sharp 9, then we're going to play E9, then when we go to the 4 chord, we're going to do D7 sharp 9 to D9. Now those chord shapes, if you don't know them, the E7 sharp 9 or the Hendrix chord is just the 7th fret on the A string, 6th fret on the D, 7th fret on the G, and 8th fret on the B. I think that's right, yes. And then you're just moving your pinky from the 8th fret down to the 7th. And then when we get to the D7, we do D7 sharp 9, which is the same shape. And D9. So it's the same idea across 2 chords. And then you got the back to the 1 chord, which usually what I do is a little chromatic kind of walk up from A to C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E7. So we're using these ideas, let's go through a blues chorus. So ready, 1, 2, 3, 4. when I did that little walk up right at the end, I kind of was pulling off to the A string as well. Just because I can. So there's a few ideas. You could just mix up some of these ideas and just kind of see where it takes you. Another little word of warning: if you do too much on a blues, if you're sitting back on the rhythm guitar and you're doing too much harmonically, so if you're doing you're doing that kind of thing, you might get looks from people who are taking solos because you're really there just to provide a bit of harmony. So you use these ideas to kind of sparkle up your rhythm playing. Always let your ear be the guide. Take direction from other musicians. If you're doing too much rhythmically, just bring it back a little bit. There's absolutely nothing wrong on a blues just sitting back and going. That kind of thing. Really locking in with the snare drum, really trying to feel what the bass player and the drummer's doing. A whole chorus doing, whilst a trumpet player, a sax player, or even another guitar player is taking a solo, you might be taking up too much room. So just bring it back a little bit. If you're doing it in a trio and there's just guitar, bass, drums, and a singer, then you've kind of got a little bit more room to... a little bit more room to kind of explore some more of these ideas. It's always dictated by the context and who else is playing, what the song is, so don't just walk into a blues jam and say, well, I saw this video on YouTube and some guy said that I can do this for 12 bars. You might not be asked to come back, or you might be told, just scale it back a little bit. So yeah, don't be stepping on people's toes. But these are some really cool ideas that you can hopefully start implementing into your playing now, and just have fun with it. I will write out a tab, there'll be a tab available for all three of these kind of examples, and they'll be available on my Patreon page, which is down there, and it will be available on my website, which is also down there, and also down there is the like button and the subscribe button. And if you'd like to see more content like this, guitar tips on how to, improve our playing, then subscribe to the channel. There's also a bit of a back catalogue of things that you might be interested in, so there'll be an array of videos. There might be a little thing that pops up here. Is it here? It'll pop up here. I think it's here. It pops up here. And maybe right at the end there'll be this video here, which has been suggested just for you. So click on it. Have a look. Explore around. Have a look. So anyway, I really hope you got something from this. Blues rhythm playing is something that always gets overlooked, but it's absolutely one of the things that separates the guitar players from shit guitar players. So I will leave it here, I think, so I think I've rambled enough. So I will see you on the next video, whenever that may be, and I hope it's soon. All right, goodbye.